Hi, welcome to the Rittners Floral School in Boston, Mass. I'm Dr. Steve Rittner, and it's a pleasure to welcome you into one of our classrooms today. The time of the year, it's fall, it's getting near to Halloween, and we've got a really neat video for you today. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. What this one is going to be is an inspirational video showing you a wide variety of ideas for arrangements for Halloween. Now, our staff here at Rittners has been working very hard to prepare the materials for this video. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. So let's start off and talk about some various kinds of Halloween vase arrangements that you may decide to play with or make or use as inspiration for your own designing. Now, not all Halloween has to be ghoulish or scary. Halloween is a time where people entertain, friends come over, there are Halloween parties. Simply making a lovely arrangement like this, suitable for a dining room table or for a kitchen, a couple of sunflowers, a few carnations that are red, some orange roses, and some bronze palms in a lovely cylinder. This is a simple design, but it works so well, and we don't necessarily have to have any symbolism in it for it to work well in terms of the time of the year with the particular colors and the theme that gets across the idea of fall. So this is one way that we could start as far as Halloween designing is concerned. But wait, there's more. We've got some other great ideas. And I think you, my viewer, are going to find them really interesting. We're going to gradually get into some other additional concepts here. Now, in this particular case, we're definitely making use of the symbolism of Halloween. You'll notice that we've got a container. It's a metal container, but it has the jack-o'-lantern kind of smile on it. It's got an orange kind of feel to it. It's got this kind of broken up kind of paint thing here that gives it a really cool feel. It definitely says Halloween. And in using this, we've got a variety of different things here. We've got some lilies here, some yellow lilies over here, some orange lilies over here, equisetum or horsetail shooting off at an angle, some of our liatris over here, protea, leucadendron, some of our alstroemeria centered here. It's a lovely little design, and this is a design that could be put on a sideboard, it could be put in an entry area. It's a neat design, and notice that the way it's constructed, you've got clustering of materials, clustering of our liatris, clustering of our alstroemeria, of our lilies, of our equisetum. It's a simple design to make, it's a fun design to make, and it's certainly one that you can emulate in coming up with your own Halloween type designs. Definitely a great one for the holiday. Now I'm going to take this theme of grouping materials and let's take it a step further with another piece. And I think you'll find this is an interesting way of doing your designing or looking at your designing. Now in this particular case, we're going with a general fall theme. We don't have the symbolism that we have here, but it works very, very well because of the fall theme. It also is using a very similar concept. If you look at this, you'll see a cluster of your orange roses here. They're actually orange tips with kind of a pale kind of aspect here. You've got a section here of our sunflowers, another section here with a few more roses in more of a peachy color, our proteas over here, our little pumpkin sticks, which are really cool. These are little tiny pumpkins that are on a stick, are right over here. Lilies are concentrated over here. So notice the same concept here of grouping our flowers by type, a type here, a section here, a section here, over here, and here. Definitely a cool way of coming up with an effect. It's very, very easy to achieve, and we like the use of the birch. This is basically a container that has a birch finish to it. It certainly feels like, rural New England, and we like it for that reason. But I think that the concept of using the fall colors and of grouping our flowers is really a cool one. And it's something that you, my viewer, may want to play with in terms of your experiments with flower arranging. Now we've got a few more interesting things here that I think you may find of interest because our staff has been working very, very hard to come up with some interesting ideas. This is one that I think you guys are going to enjoy. There are many containers out there that are really not meant as containers for florals, but they're meant really as places where people would put candy, and people can come to the house and then people see this like container with little candy. In this particular case, it's a little container that is meant to simulate a trick-or-treater who is not sure whether, the trick-or-treater here is not quite sure whether he or she is a ghost or whether he or she is a witch, but it uses both symbols, and of course the little pumpkin pail here. And instead of putting candy in it, what we're doing is we're using this as a decoration and using it as a means of putting flowers in. It gives a very cool effect. There are many such containers out there. They're meant primarily as things that you put in front of the home to put a few pieces of candy in. But I say, in addition to doing that, take some of these things and consider them as containers, novelty kinds of containers for the holiday, because you can come up with some really, really cool effects. The only thing you have to be careful about when you're doing something like this is that you want to design for the container. In other words, we didn't want to have the entire face of our little trick-or-treater friend here covered, so we had to be careful not to come up too high on this side and build it a little bit more in this direction. Again, using fall colors here, we've got some yellow rose, we've got a lily in yellow, lovely Asiatic lily in yellow, some mini gerbs in orange, a few of our palms in butterscotch, red carnation, and it's just a very, very pretty little design, and it's something that should get you thinking in terms of some of the containers that you could use or things that you can adapt for your Halloween designing. I think that this one is really, really neat. But wait, we've got a few more ideas that I think you will find of interest, my viewer. Of course, when we get involved with Halloween, there's so many different great symbols that we can play with, and so we're definitely playing with it in this design. And of course, what becomes very, very obvious is the use of our little spider and the spider's web. The spider and the spider's web is supported by a very, very nice mixture of materials. We have, again, the pumpkin stick. This is a product that we've seen this year that I think is just great. Little tiny miniature pumpkins that are on a branch, and working them in gives a cool effect. An orange lily, some roses that have orange edging to them, a protea is tucked in here, more lilies here, and looking over at the other side, I know you can't see it, but let's just show it to you, a little mini gerb, and then some branchy stuff. You never can go wrong with branchy stuff. In contemporary designing, a little collar of wire that gives an interesting effect. It overall gives a really, really pretty effect. Definitely appropriate colors in terms of the yellows, the oranges, the symbolism. It's a little ghoulish. If you don't like spiders, you can always eliminate the spider and the web, but I think that sometimes something like this that kind of suggests that aspect of the holiday is certainly a fun kind of thing to do, and these are fun to decorate our home. Isn't that pretty? I think it is a really, really neat idea. Okay, moving along, my viewer, we have a couple more things that we'd like to show you. And when we're doing our designing for Halloween, we have to consider that just as we can go with classical ideas, we can go with contemporary and more way out. Now, we started this presentation with something that was very, very classical and very traditional. But Halloween, like anything done with floral art, can be portrayed in not only classical modes, but also contemporary, and even in the weird or the little kinky in terms of our designing. And that's what we have here. We've got a glass cylinder. The glass cylinder is filled with ornaments, but the ornaments are not Christmas ornaments. They are Halloween ornaments in oranges, purples. Some of them have kind of a muted kind of diamond dusty glitter kind of effect. Some of them are shiny. And of course, to get across the idea of the holiday, what would the holiday be without a few eyes worked in here? And we have ornaments that actually look like eyes that are looking in different directions. On top of this, we have an arrangement, and we've got, again, seasonally appropriate colors and things. We've got yellow mini gerbs here. We've got some roses right over here, orange roses. We have a very, very pretty lily worked in here. And then we're using a lot of our branchy stuff and materials like Spanish moss here. Notice a little alstroemeria in here. So we definitely have the themes. There is one little symbol that is kind of built in here. It's kind of tucked in. If you look very carefully, you'll see the witch's hat. So we have a tiny little witch's hat built in here as well. The style of this, a lot of use of negative space in between, branchy stuff. We definitely have the holiday symbolism, the holiday color, but stylistically a very, very contemporary kind of offering for this holiday, and one that I think has its place. Again, you may like, you may not like, but the whole concept here is to give you, my viewer, some ideas and different ways that you can go when you're doing your arranging for this holiday, and to inspire you to move in different directions. And I think that this is kind of a neat idea, and certainly one that you may want to experiment with using the cylinder and also the use of space and so forth. Now we've got a couple of other things we want to show you, my viewer, that I think you may find of interest. Just bear with me while I move things around. This is a neat idea, and I think that this is something that I just learned about really actually this season, and it's been around the concept for a couple of years, and I think it is rather an interesting one, and it's something worth talking about. There are a lot of kids who love to do trick-or-treating, but they have food allergies, and the big problem for some of these kids is to be able to trick or treat, but it's just not right if they can't handle the food or if they can't eat the food. And so there's been a movement that's been going on that I think is really cool, where they're advocating the use of a teal pumpkin, and the teal pumpkin is basically a sign to families that in the house that displays them, there will be things that the kid can have that will not impact their allergies. In other words, it doesn't have to be food. It could be all kinds of little toys and things that the kids will be just as enthusiastic about, but they don't have to have something that would bother their allergies. Some places we've seen are putting out these teal pumpkins as a sign of that, and they're also having things for kids who can handle regular candies, and things for kids who have the allergic situation. But I think it's a neat concept. It also is something that I think is really neat from another point of view, and it shows that, these holidays, they're always constantly evolving and changing, and there are new symbols that are constantly coming about. We see this in Halloween. We definitely see it in Christmas. It's almost like, I say it's like an onion with layers in it, where there are new levels and new layers of things coming out available. I think that the concept of the teal pumpkin is a real neat one. And why just take a teal pumpkin and carve a face in it? I say that the teal pumpkin can also be a means of coming up with some creative floristry. And here we've got a lovely arrangement. We've got a combination of things on our pumpkin. We've got some lilies. We've got some mini gerbs in orange. We have some of the ornaments that are designed with a Halloween theme on it. Lots of Stephen hair, or should I say Spanish moss, and equisetum, horsetail here, and over here. Lots of space in between, branchy stuff being used in this design. It's a neat design with an interesting kind of approach to the holiday that you may never have considered. And I think it is a pretty cool idea. So the teal pumpkin, maybe you may want to play a little bit with that, and in the process also make non-candy things available to kids who are having food allergies. An idea that I think the time has come. So one other idea in terms of our designing for Halloween. Oops, let's get this little guy away too. And finally, we're going to end off with one design that I think you're going to find really cool. And this design, you notice I like to gradually get more interesting and more, a little bit larger in terms of size and scope. We can go in many different directions. We can go from tiny designs to designs that are quite elaborate, and this one is a fairly elaborate design. Notice we're using a rather contemporary container here that has more of a stone kind of finish to it, and then a melange of all kinds of beautiful things that we have as far as the holiday. We've got the pumpkin stick over here, the use of some of our orange protea here, the use of sunflowers here and here, lilies, orange lily here, here, alstroemeria right over here, and in here and over here. The use of orange roses and yellow roses worked in. We have some leucadendron here, gives a very, very pretty effect. It is a lovely mixture of all kinds of things. Of course, to get in the scary theme for the holiday, we've got a little friend here who's kind of hanging out. But if you want to, the neat thing about this kind of design is that we can go in different directions. We can add the symbolism of the skull, or we could have a bat, or we could have a black cat or a witch, or whatever kind of symbol that we want, or we could just leave it off and just play with the design itself, depending upon what you're trying to achieve. You can go in so many different directions. But the thing I like about this one, it's big, it's showy, it shows off all kinds of amazing botanicals, and really gets the theme of the holiday. So what do you think, my viewer? We believe here at Rittners Floral School that floral designing should reflect our culture, and that we can include all kinds of interesting symbols, colors, things that will make our holidays all that much more fun. And I hope that in this brief video, you've gotten a sense of some of the things that we can do for Halloween. We tried to give you a selection of interesting ideas and approaches. Our staff at Rittners Floral School has worked very hard to make this particular video possible. On behalf of all of us here at Rittners Floral School, I'm Dr. Steve Rittner. It's a pleasure to welcome you into our classroom today, and we hope you enjoyed this brief inspirational video. Thank you.